Hi, my name is Mike Moss, and this video is how to set up Eclipse for Android on OS X. So the first thing we're going to want to do is check to see if we have the right version of Java. And then beyond that, it's just simply a matter of installing the IDE and the ADT plugin. And after that, we'll take a quick check and see if everything's installed properly. So the first thing that we want to do is check to see if we have the right version of Java. And we can simply do that by running terminal and then running the command java-version. And for any tools, in this case the IDE that we're going to download for Mac, we're going to want to grab the 64-bit version. Okay, so I'm going to just bring up Spotlight, start the terminal app, and all I want to do is just type java-version. And here you can see that we're running the 64-bit, and it's actually Java 1.6, which is fine. If you're not running Java 1.6 or 1.7, you're going to have to go get it from Oracle yourself. But for most Mac installs, you should be fine. You should be ready to go with what's already installed. Okay, so now to get the Eclipse IDE, we need to go to eclipse.org/downloads just to get the binaries that we need. And here on the download site, I'm going to grab 4.3.1, which is Kepler. I want the 64-bit version because I'm running 64-bit Java. I'm just going to go ahead and start the download here. So while it's downloading or after it's downloading, what I would like to do is I'd like to create my own little SDK directory that I can store this in. So in my default user directory here, I'm just going to create a folder called SDK, and into that I'm going to, pretty much put the Eclipse and install the SDK into it. Okay, so now that it's downloaded, let's just bring it up and unpack it. So we'll expand out. And we have an unpacked Eclipse folder that's got all of our Eclipse stuff in it. And what I like to do is also name this for the version that it is, because you can have multiple concurrent versions alongside one another. So this is Eclipse 4.3.1. Actually, I'm just going to move it into my SDK directory. So if we get the other folder up here, I'm just going to drag it into my SDK folder in my user directory. And there we go. And inside this directory, we're going to find the Eclipse executable. So if we just start that up, we should get the Kepler, well, yes, it's safe, Kepler launch splash screen. And this is your workspace. Feel free just to click OK default for now. And here's our workspace. And you can go through these tutorials and overviews on your own time. But really what I want to do is jump straight into the workbench here. There we go. Okay, so now that the Eclipse is installed, the next thing we need to install is the ADT or Android Development Tools plugin. And we can get that from the developer site from the link shown here. We don't have to get the SDK because the ADT plugin will actually do it for us when the install is complete. Okay, so here's the site. What we're looking for is just the ADT plugin URL. If we go back to Eclipse and we go to Help, Install New Software, we take that URL, that update URL, paste it in here, press Enter, and it'll say pending for a little bit here as it goes out and gets the information. And there we go. So we can open these up. You're pretty much going to want all of these if you're doing regular development. NDK, maybe you won't need that, but I install it because I usually do need it. And go ahead and click Next, accept the license, and then let's finish it. Okay, so now it's going to take a while and download. Okay, so once it's downloaded, you'll get this little security warning. Go ahead and click OK, and it'll actually install it. This is just copying everything into a place for the plugin in your Eclipse environment. And once that's done, we'll need to restart. So go ahead and click Restart, and the Eclipse application will restart. Go ahead and select again. The default workspace is fine for now. You may want to set your own at some point, but for this demo, that's fine. Okay, and once it comes up, one of the first things we're going to see is this Android SDK cannot be found. Essentially, it's not set in the preferences. This is a little bit of kind of a red herring. We don't really want this because if you can see behind it, we have the Welcome to Android Development. So let's go ahead and actually just close this. And with that out of the way, we can actually either install a new one or use an existing one. I'm going to actually point to the SDK directory that I created, and I'm going to create another folder called Android SDK Mac OS X to kind of reflect what the Google normal folder looks like. And click Next. This is demo. Let's not send any statistics, and click Finish. And this will grab everything that we need for the Android platform and build tools. So let's click Accept, get through this part, and this might take a little while. Okay, so when the ADT is done, we should have an SDK installed for us. We'll know that everything's kind of in the right place if we go to the workbench, and immediately we can see we've got a couple of new icons up here. One of them's the Android SDK Manager, and the other one's the AVD or Virtual Device Manager. So if we start the SDK Manager, what we're going to want to do is grab at least one other platform. It's really up to you and the devices that you want to build against, but for demo purposes, let's just grab the, we've already got the 4.3 installed, let's grab the Android 4.0. So if we go down to Android 4.0, click the SDK platform, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The support library is already installed, or I'm sorry, it will be installed, and a couple other device versions. Okay, so let's click Install, accept the license, accept the other license, and click Install. And this will run for a little while. And when that's finished, you'll get a little done loading packages, and you can close the SDK Manager after this. We're done with it for now. This is how you get extra packages if you need them. Okay, so let's verify that we've got everything. So at least from those packages. So one of the things is I'm going to bring up the Virtual Device Manager, and okay, I want to make sure those are devices. I want to make sure that my targets are in place. You may have to restart. Sometimes it doesn't show up immediately, and you may have to restart the Eclipse workbench. But those are the two that we installed. If you wanted other ones, you could install them. We also installed a couple of extra ABIs, so that's how you get them. Okay, so let's close that out. For the next thing, let's just check a couple of extra elements of Android just to make sure that we've got everything in place from the plugin. One of the first things I like to look at is to make sure that the custom views that the plugin incorporates are in place. So I've got an Android section, I've got a number of custom Android views. This is a good indication that, okay, yes, I do have the plugin installed. I can add, for example, the logcat, which is a very common one. Another one that's a very common, at least that I use a lot, is the devices view. And this shows me that I don't actually have any devices currently installed. And these could be physical devices or emulator, for example. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to create a new Android project. So I can go into New Project, Android Application Project, click Next, and I'm offered the Android Application Wizard. I'm just going to fill in Test. I don't want any icons, and click through the rest of this. Just really quickly get a project up. And this takes a little while. Okay, so opening up the project here. Hello. Yeah, I like to look at the manifest. So if we open up that, we'll see we got a custom XML editor here for the manifest. That's part of what comes with the plugin. And if we go to just a source file and highlight something, we can see the inline content assist or the inline help for the Android app activity. So it looks like we've got everything in place, and this install is good to go. All right, so the full documentation is at developer.android.com/SDK if you want to go through the official Google Docs. But I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks.